If you've ever walked away from an investigation wondering, did I miss something important? You're not alone. Even well-intentioned investigations can fall short no matter what industry you're in. And it's not because people aren't trying. Welcome to our webinar, Most Common Incident Investigation Mistakes. Today we'll explore the 3 most common problems experienced by investigators, from planning to evidence collection to misapplied tools like the 5 whys. Whether you're investigating safety incidents, equipment failures, or audit findings, recognizing these mistakes can mean the difference between a repeat incident and real solutions. Let's start with the first common mistake, and that is failing to plan at all. One of the most foundational mistakes in an incident investigation is the failure to plan. This mistake hurts the accuracy and efficiency of the entire investigation process. And I'm talking about this from 2 separate dimensions. First is failure to plan before an incident occurs, and second is failure to plan after an incident occurs. So let's talk about failure to plan before an incident occurs first. People sometimes wait until an incident happens before thinking about how they'll investigate it. This is a reactive mindset that leads to delays and missed evidence. And it can open your company to legal vulnerability. So keep this in mind. Effective investigation teams treat investigation readiness like emergency preparedness. Key elements include preparing an investigation policy. It's important to have a clearly defined policy that outlines things like when and how investigations are initiated, who will be involved in the investigation, what training each person on the investigation team needs to have, as well as guidance on evidence collection. Another thing you can prepare in advance is an investigation kit. And what I mean by that is assembling and maintaining physical kits with a camera, evidence bags, forms, checklists, a flashlight, anything you may need at the incident scene so it will be immediately available to grab and go when an incident occurs. And finally, don't forget to loop in your company's legal counsel before an incident happens. Engage them in advance, and you can learn about legal technicalities you should know, like privileged communication procedures. This protects sensitive findings and prepares the team for potential litigation or regulatory scrutiny. Pre-incident readiness ensures you're not scrambling when time is critical. This brings us to the second dimension of planning. We reviewed failure to plan before an incident happens. Now let's discuss failure to plan after an incident occurs. And this happens a lot. Once an incident occurs, many teams rush in without a clear strategy, relying on instinct rather than structure and methodology. This can lead to missing important people to interview, overlooking evidence, or gathering irrelevant data. A planned approach includes an initial evidence collection strategy. In TapRooT, we use a tool called Snapchart to plan the investigation and establish a timeline. By establishing a timeline, we can define what is known and what needs to be verified and collected. We also use the Snapchart as a central repository to record all of the information that we collect. A planned approach also includes an evidence collection plan. This means identifying what physical, digital, or paper evidence needs to be collected, as well as assigning team members to collect it. And don't forget, part of evidence collection is interviewing. You need to decide who needs to be interviewed, in what order, and where you will be conducting the interviews. And finally, planning an investigation includes preservation of evidence. You want to ensure that potentially perishable evidence like equipment parts or digital logs is documented and stored appropriately. Without planning, even experienced teams can miss collecting all of the information available and jeopardize legal positioning. Now that we've discussed planning, let's talk about the second most common investigation mistake, jumping into root cause analysis before you've collected all the facts. This is one of the fastest ways to derail an investigation. It's like diagnosing a patient before you've taken their temperature or reviewed their symptoms. Before you even think about opening the TapRooT root cause tree, if you're a TapRooT investigator, or any other analysis tool, You need a clear, complete understanding of what happened and what condition existed around the event. That means asking solid foundational questions like, what policies or procedures were or weren't in place? And you want to go collect those copies. What training was provided for the task? Was it adequate? Was it recent? Were there any communication breakdowns, misunderstandings, missing information? Were the correct behaviors and habits being reinforced in day-to-day operations? And what kind of preparation was done before the task began? And here's something that cannot be overstated. Do the site visit. You need eyes on the physical environment, photos, diagrams, information collected from interviews. Those things can help, but there's no substitute for standing in the actual space where the incident occurred. You'll notice things that other people miss. You'll see layout issues, lighting problems, noise, signage, all the little details that can impact a worker's behavior and decision making. Skipping the fact-finding phase or doing it halfway results in weak analysis and worse, repeat incidents. Your goal in this phase is to get the full story, so your root cause analysis is grounded in reality and not assumptions. We've talked about mistakes in planning and jumping into an RCA too soon. Let's move on to mistake number 3. Using a root cause analysis method that limits you to what you already know. This is where many well-meaning investigators go wrong. They use tools like 5 whys, which can be used for simple problems, but it only takes you as far as your own experience and expertise can go. Here's the issue. If you don't know what could go wrong with human factors or equipment reliability or organizational issues, 5 whys won't help you find it. You'll stop where your knowledge stops, and that means you can miss critical root causes entirely. This is why using a structured and expert-based system like TapRooT Root Cause Analysis matters. TapRooT doesn't rely on guesswork or brainstorming. It guides you beyond your own knowledge, using a built-in framework that brings in best practices from multiple disciplines: human performance, equipment design, management system, and more. It's not about how smart or experienced you are. It's about using a process that exposes what you wouldn't have thought to ask on your own. In short, if your root cause analysis is limited to what's already in your head, you're going to miss something, probably something important. And that means the hazard stays in the work system, just waiting to cause another problem. That's why we need tools that expand our thinking, not reinforce our blind spots. So let's wrap up what we've covered today. We looked at 3 of the most common and costly investigation mistakes. The first is failing to plan, not being ready before an incident happens, and not having a plan for how to investigate when it does. The second is jumping to root cause analysis too soon, skipping over the critical step of gathering complete, accurate facts before trying to find the root cause. And finally, number 3, using the wrong tool, relying on methods like 5 whys that only takes you as far as your own personal knowledge, instead of using a system like TapRooT that helps you see what you might otherwise miss. Many of these steps may sound familiar, and that's exactly why the TapRooT system was created, to give you reliable and a repeatable way to conduct investigations that actually prevent an incident from reoccurring. So here's your next step. Join us for the 2-day TapRooT Effective Interviewing and Evidence Collection course. This hands-on practical training goes beyond theory. You'll learn how to plan and document investigations with confidence, use Snapchart as a tool to guide your evidence collection, conduct interviews using the TapRooT 12-step process, recognize and preserve fragile evidence, improve your emotional intelligence and nonverbal communication skills, and lots more, all aligned with the ASTM standards and built on the trusted TapRooT system. You'll walk away with skills you can use immediately in the field, whether you're collecting evidence, managing a scene, or conducting interviews. Thanks for joining me on this webinar.